Enze.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. I'd like to invite Member Greg Schwarzy and Youth for Excellence Director Wendy Williams to the podium. Okay. Today, we honor 37 organizations doing important work in our community. This board created a small nonprofit grant program that would fund projects benefiting our residents in the areas of job readiness and literacy, education and mentoring, housing and shelter, behavioral health services, substance use treatment disorder, and food assistance. The individual grant awards were each up to $25,000. Today, many of our grantees joined us for a short reception where board members were able to greet and offer their congratulations. Member Greg Schwarzy, who chairs the Human Services Committee, worked with staff to create and administer this program in the first year. Greg, thank you for your good work and the work of our committee, of your committee. Please tell us more about the process and the outcome.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. You know, today we're proud of the 37 organizations who met the criteria. They're all over there, most of them are over there, and were chosen to receive grants from the county board. As you mentioned, it's the first year we are providing this small nonprofit grant program. Its funding comes from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, investment earnings. Each board member, this is the cool part of this, each board member played a vital role reviewing the applications which were previously vetted by the finance staff, and they worked very hard to do that. And as a district, the members of each district made the award selections. So from that group, applications were further reviewed by the state's attorney's office, and the grantees are here today receiving their checks. To each of my board colleagues, thank you for your participation and feedback. And to Chair Conroy, thank you for including this program in your budget plan for 2024. I know these funds make a significant difference in the lives of our residents' health and well-being. To tell us more about the impact, representing all the nonprofits who are awarded, we couldn't fit them all up here, we have Wendy Williams at the podium today. Her nonprofit group, Youth for Excellence, focuses on improving educational outcomes and building life skills for youth in the Willowbrook Corner neighborhood in the southeastern portion of the county. So before we invite her to share some of her thoughts, Chair Conroy, would you like to present the big recyclable check?
Yes, definitely. Well, of course, and recyclable, Member Rutledge, recyclable. And now on behalf of the entire county board, we are proud to present this check for $653,993.20 to DuPage Small Nonprofits. Congratulations, Wendy Williams, and all of our grantees.
Good morning, everyone. Give me 1 second, I'm trying to find my speech. Okay. Once again, good morning, everyone. Good morning. First, I would like to thank God for this opportunity. I don't take it lightly. No one in Youth for Excellence does. I have a great team, my wonderful husband. But I would like to thank the board, especially Chair Deb Conroy, for this generous grant. You guys rock. I am so grateful for this opportunity. This grant will allow the work that we are doing in the community that we serve. The youth and their families will benefit with educational, technological, mentoring, life skills programs, and much more. These are just some of the services that the youth of the Hinsdale Lake Terrace community don't have access to. I feel confident in saying that these grants will help all the recipients to continue doing what is in their hearts, to represent the communities that they serve, from economic development, education and mentoring, housing, transportation, behavioral health services, substance abuse treatments, and food assistance. I am confident in saying on behalf of all the small nonprofit grant recipients, we thank you. We thank the board for all that we have received and all that we will receive, and we're looking forward to great things in the future. Thank you.
Okay. On the matter of public opinion, on public comment, according to our county board rules, members of the public shall be afforded time to address the board. Individual remarks shall not exceed 3 minutes in length, nor shall the total time provided for all remarks exceed 30 minutes. Our first speaker is
Sharon Eckler.
Good morning. My name is Sharon Eckler. I've been a resident of DuPage County for 33, going on 34 years. And I'm here today to request a relief for a zoning of a 30-foot setback to a 15. I have an RV that resides in the back of my home, and it's about 10 feet tall, and it is in line with my shed, which is like 15, 16, whatever the height requirement or max was back in the day. And I'm requesting 15 feet setback from my property line, and that's why I'm here today. That's all I got. I did publish a electronic comment. I hope you all read it, and go me. Thank you.
very nice. Go you. Okay. Okay. The board has received public comment via our online portal per board policy. Those comments were provided to members yesterday so they could be reviewed. Comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. Okay. Today we have two transportation-themed presentations to the board. The first is from the Regional Transportation Authority, featuring our representatives on that board, David Andalcio and RTA Chief Financial Officer Kevin Buezo. Both the RTA and Metra, which is also presenting today, will have a great deal to convey about the financial and operations needs of our transit system as we plan for the next several years to come. David and Kevin, please come to the podium. Oh,
Madam
I'm
Chair,
sorry.
how are you?
Well, we have the
that's
privilege
okay.
today of having Kirk Dillard with us today.
My brain trust is really here. I just wanted to come and say thank you. As a lifelong DuPage County resident and the chairman of the RTA, it is always a pleasure to come to my own county board. Madam Chair and members will tell you, you have one thing that no other county has, and that's that you have the chairman of the RTA as a resident of your particular county. Before I turn it over to our staff and to David Andalcio, who is a great appointment to the RTA board, I will just give a couple of highlights. First of all, we have at the RTA probably the highest credit rating that you can get as a transit agency in America. We have a return on investment of $1 in $4, nothing, and that includes education, has a return on investment in studies bigger than mass transit. Pre-pandemic, 85% of all new commercial construction in the 6-county metropolitan area took place within a half a mile of mass transit. We have historically in the Chicago area and the RTA, we have the lowest operating cost of any mass transit system in the country. We also have, with Chicago weather, union labor, and older equipment, the fewest mechanical breakdowns of any mass transit system in America. Those are great statistics that I think are important to know. Our friends and our partners at CMAP and the Civic Federation, we are working very hard with to let the public and legislators and county boards and others know that we have an impending financial cliff. We're not alone. We have every other big city in America with us in that quest. I will importantly point out that the American Public Transportation Association said Chicago handled the COVID crisis in mass transit better than any other transit system in the United States. I will tell you, just like DuPage County is sort of the envy of everybody in the state, the Chicagoland mass transit system is clearly, I think, probably the envy of most of the systems in America. Everybody in other cities go, you know, how do we have what you have? But we are working to improve in an ever-changing world every day. I've taken Metra out of either Westmont or Clarendon Hills or West Hinsdale for probably 40 years of my life. And obviously I work downtown Chicago, so work patterns have changed greatly with Mondays and Fridays not being as robust. Our curve is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday like that, where we're close to normal. So I just want to say thank you for everything you do. We're all in this together, Madam Chair. It's great to see you again. I will turn it over to David Andalcio, who is our great appointee of yours. And I also want to point out that when Kevin Baseo gives his presentation today as the RTA's Chief Fiscal Officer, Kevin used to be the Chief Fiscal Officer of McHenry County. So the RTA's Chief Finance Officer actually came from a county board like yours. So thank you. It's great to be home in DuPage County. My phone and email and door is always open to any of you that have questions or concerns. And when I was in the state Senate, I love those big little checks too. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Chairman Dillard. Good morning, members of the board. Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you for having me here today for this important discussion on the regional transportation budget for 2024. It has been my honor to represent DuPage County on the RTA board since 2019 during what has been a challenging and pivotal time for public transit. Metra and PACE have continued to provide vital transportation options to people in DuPage County and are welcoming riders back with flexible schedules, new fare products, and innovative pilots that are responding to the needs of our riders. We are seeing more collaboration between the agencies than ever before as they adapt to these new needs, and yet we know there's much work ahead. This is a critical time for public transit, with a looming physical cliff when federal relief dollars running out, leaving a possible 20% budget hole as soon as 2026. The large gap could result in cuts that would be devastating for the people, the residents of DuPage County, who rely on public transit. In addition to the impacts that smaller transit systems would have on our road congestion, our economy, and our environment. We believe transit is the answer to many of our region's greatest challenges, but to be the solution we know it can be, we must reform our funding structure to be less reliant on fares and end the decades-long cycle of chronic underfunding so that the RTA and the service boards can deliver the service and system that riders and residents deserve. I've been proud to help lead the agency and provide guidance on these issues over the last several years. And I'm happy to introduce today our Chief Financial Officer, Kevin. But once again, I would like you and thank you, all the members, for the opportunity to serve. Madam Chair, thank you, and you all have a blessed day.
We're going to be talking a bit more. First of all, thank you, Madam Chair, and the County Board for welcoming us back to talk about the RTA and the RTA regional budget. I also want to thank you, Chairman Diller and Director Andalcio for the introduction. They've been demonstrating a lot of great leadership in our agency to navigate the environment that we're in right now with transit. I also want to thank our staff here. We have Kyle Whitehead, who's in our governmental affairs, and then we have Doug Anderson in our finance team. So I'm going to mention these later, but we're going to be hanging out around here so that if there's any questions after these, then we can answer those. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So what you'll see on the theme of today's presentation is there's the information there, but we do have a lot of communication that we want to make sure that you all get to hear from us, and so I'll just ask for patience as we go through the slide deck. So throughout this year, our regional transit system, which is operated by CTA, Metra, and PACE, and you're going to hear about Metra's more detailed budget later, has worked to improve services, expand service, and bring back riders. And I'm pleased to report that while there is a lot of work that we still got to do, ridership is coming back. God bless you. We're encouraged by the continuing growth in ridership, and right now we're forecasting at 325 million rides regionally. We're expecting these to grow by 14% from 2022, and reach almost 60% of pre-pandemic levels. So while you're going to see the budget going through, we're budgeting 100% in our offering of services. Ridership still lagging pre-pandemic levels a lot. So you're going to see that as a theme. If you can go to the next slide, please. In 2024. The RTA and the service boards are continuing to invest in the system to connect communities in DuPage County and the greater Chicagoland region to build back this ridership. Some of the local projects that we wanted to highlight here in DuPage County include the following. So we have a program in PACE's 2024 budget, and when they do the presentation, they're going to cover a little bit more detail on these. It's called the Rideshare Access Program, and this allows ADA customers the flexibility to use rideshare services such as VIA and not have to wait 24 hours to get that ride or schedule it 24 hours in advance. So that's definitely one of the benefits here. This program began here in DuPage County as DuPage Uber Access Program, and it was so successful here that we have expanded it. Also, PACE's Aurora On-Demand or Naperville on-demand service was expanded through a pilot which was launched in June of 2022. Since the launch of these, ridership has more than doubled, and PACE is now making the service expansion more of a permanent service. I want to note here that the RTA has and will continue to advocate to fully fund the ADA paratransit services. Right now, that's all within the budgets that are mandated by the state, but we're asking and advocating for this program to be fully funded. Metro's latest budget continues their transition to a regional rail model. So this means that more frequent services, not necessarily coming and going to downtown Chicago, is more within the different service stops. So in DuPage County, West Chicago's Metro station will see several upgrades. Those include ADA access, lighting, signage, sidewalk, and tunnel improvements. I'm sure Metro is going to cover that in more detail with their presentation. So as you can see, the agencies are continuing to expand their services with additional funding we want to make sure that we reposition ourselves to provide these services. But this funding is definitely a need for us to be able to deliver on these services. So a lot of these are pilot programs that we want to collect this data and present our case that as the pandemic exhibited, our services have to change as well. If we can go to the next slide, please. So bear with me here. I'm going to walk you through the 2024 regional budget, but before I go into the details, I will underscore what Director Andalcia just mentioned. Our system has been relying on fares way too much, and that's Chairman Diller mentioned this as well. In comparison to other transit agencies within the country or even the world, our reliance on these fares is just not what you see across the industry or the sector. So our region's climate related programs that we're also addressing through our budget. You're going to be seeing and hearing a lot of that as we go through our legislative agenda. So some details about the 2024 budget. The 2024 regional budget is projected to have expenses of just over $3.9 billion. So that's just under $4 billion. And as comparison to the 2023 budget, that's a 9.5% increase. The service board expenses, so Metra, CTA, and PES's own budgets, the increases vary from 9 to 11% as compared to the 2023 budget. Each operator also intends to add services in 2024. CTA and Metra are budgeting the service, as I mentioned, to approach the pre-pandemic level, hoping to encourage ridership. And PACE continue to innovate. They just opened up their new bus rapid transit service in partnership to solve that first and last mile issue that we continue to see. On the capital side, the 5-year capital program which includes fiscal year 2024 through 2028, is just about $5.9 billion. So over the next 5 years. So the agency budgets assume ridership at a collective of 62% of pre-COVID-19 levels. So again, taking a look at how we're budgeting versus when ridership is coming back, that's definitely a lag that we're fully aware of. The proposed regional budget and 2-year plan projects that the federal funding will begin to exhaust in 2025. So Q4 of 2025, our relief funding will completely dry up, and at that time, we're going to start thinking about what that's going to look like for the 2026 budget, or we're going to start preparing. And as we have seen through the strategic plans that each agency has, plus the RTAs, we're working to resolve that issue before we get to that point. Next slide, please. This will be a very quick slide, but as you can see, what we're breaking it down here is we're breaking down the revenue sources of our regional budget. So our $3.9 billion is broken down in just different factors. You can see that federal relief funding is about 19% of our total budget, or 20%, and that's sort of close to 20%. That's sort of the conversation that we've been having with the Illinois General Assembly, as well as the different communication opportunities that we have with legislators. And closing this gap of the 20% will be helpful, but we want to make sure that we're clear and concise in stating that this 20% gap doesn't necessarily fund the system that we all want or we all deserve in the region. It just gets us back to that level of where we were before. So we're continuing to have these conversations about funding. If we can go to the next slide, please. On the expenses side, you'll see the share of that $3.9 billion broken down by service or by service board and agencies. The RTA's own budget increased from 1%. It used to be 1% of the total budget. Now is 1.3%. That change, or that 0.3% increase, is due to the federal grants that we get 1 year on, 1 year off. And so this is 1 year where we get that grant. So revenues go up by as much, expenses go up by as much. Next slide, please. While this slide does not have a lot of numbers or a lot of details, we want to spend a little bit we want to share a lot of information about what our legislative agenda has been over the last few months. So to provide the regional vision for our system post-COVID and to prepare for the coming fiscal cliff, the RTA released the Transit is the Answer, which the Board of Directors approved in February of this year. Since then, we at the RTA have been very busy implementing to advance the plan's vision for safe, reliable, accessible public transportation that connects people to opportunity, education, equity, and combats also climate change, as we mentioned. Transit is the answer to connecting the most vulnerable people in our region to jobs, healthcare, and other opportunities. Chicago's regional transit system gives thousands of residents with disabilities and older adults independence through ADA paratransit and reduced fare and ride-free programs. So again, as I mentioned, a lot of these programs are being piloted right now. Some of them are also being expanded into permanent services with the additional funding that we have. This is going to be the conversation we're going to have in 2020, that we're having now to address that issue in 2025, 2026. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the priorities in Transit is the Answer is to fully fund and expand these different programs. So get this funding that will reduce that fiscal cliff or fiscal gap that we're going to have in 2026 if these programs are fully funded. So next year, in partnership with Metro and Cook County, the RTA is proposing a pilot of an expansion of the reduced fare program on Metro to residents of the entire region. So this is going to be in partnership with Cook County for those individuals that are eligible for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. It's commonly known as the SNAP. So SNAP is targeted to households experiencing low income. So for our region, that means 1.2 million. Yep, thank you. Yep, we're still on the same slide, thank you. And so for this program, it's going to be an 18-month pilot program that will allow the residents throughout the RTA region to ride Metro at a reduced fare. RTA is already administering ride-free programs, so this is going to be one of those programs that we're going to include within our administration as well. At this time, the pilot will only be available for reduced fares on Metro. The point here is that with additional funding, we can expand this program to PACE and CTA. The service boards continue to make progress on fare integration. I know that has been a conversation as well. So CTA and PACE have expanded their passes in recent years, and they're all in the Ventra platform. So if you're familiar with that, you'll be able to ride that seamlessly between the two different services. Metro also, with their monthly pass, they can, for an additional $30, you can use the 3 different services within the same system as well. As we seek additional funding, we know that it's critical for us to deliver on these reforms and improvements to make riding transit more convenient and more affordable for people across the region. So not just DuPage County, but all the RTA cover areas. We are hearing this loud and clear in our communication, in our conversations that we're having with different partners, and we'll continue to work with the service boards, so Metro, PACE, and CTA, to deliver on these key priorities of the strategic plan. Transit is the Answer. Other work that has taken place as part of implementing Transit is the Answer include a climate action plan, a transit-friendly communities guide. There's another collaboration with the City of Chicago's Mayor's Office on safety and security issues. And as well as we're also continuing to invite people to join our Transit is the Answer coalition. So if you haven't done so, I would highly recommend you go to our website and look for Transit is the Answer coalition and sign up to be a member. So we have events that are happening on a quarterly basis, and we have one coming up in December, which I'll mention a little bit later. If we can go to the next slide, please. Because we know it will take leadership at the state level to achieve the funding and other reforms that are needed to improve the system, we're going to spend a few moments just talking about some of the things that we have done since Transit is the Answer, and in partnership with our governmental affairs team and our Illinois General Assembly. So as an example, we partnered with an organization called The Network, and they're an advocacy group for domestic violence and sexual abuse. And so in part of this partnership was delivering 20,000 Ventra cars preloaded with $20 so that they can distribute it to survivors within their service levels or within their services. And so this partnership has again provided that communication between the end users of our system and as well as different programs that the RTA can deliver. We're also expanding the region's transit benefit program, which this one is in partnership with the, again, Illinois Assembly to use pre-tax dollars to ride transit. So employers who have 50 employees or more can now offer a $50 or a pre-tax benefit so people can pay for the transit service. On the capital side, the RTA and the service board continue to deliver on Rebuild Illinois. So that's about $3.5 billion that have been programmed for our region. Next slide, please. There's a lot of information on the legislative agenda and the different initiatives that we are taking as the RTA. So to build support for increased funding and for transit operation and other agency policy goals, we're also widely sharing our 2024 legislative agenda, which has this four different action items. This agenda, as we've seen, has evolved over the last few months and will continue to evolve as we continue to have these conversations with county boards, with not-for-profits. So we're taking this comment very seriously and adjusting the agenda as we go to make sure that we're addressing the different concerns from our end users. So any discussion of transit in the area needs to begin with the current fiscal situation that we're in. As we talk about fiscal cliff, as we talk about the funding gap that we have, that has to be a priority for us. As we continue to also confront a new set of conditions, whether they're provided, because as a result of the pandemic or different needs within the legislators, we need to address those as well. And we continue, as Chairman Diller mentioned, the historic underfunding of transit, that there is a lot of federal and state needs and that they need to come in and into the picture a little bit more seriously, I'll say, because obviously they have to be a player in filling these gaps as well. The RTA will continue to lead this collaboration across the service boards, and we continue to have these meetings and talk about the different comments and feedback that we're hearing from all sides of the conversation here. If we can go to the next slide, please. So when we talk about what the next steps are in terms of the 2024 regional operating budget as well as the capital plan, below on the slide deck, there's a few dates that are important, and we encourage everyone to attend either virtually or in person. You're all welcome to the RTA as well. We have our service boards are presenting their budget on Thursday, and so we'll have an opportunity to ask a little bit more questions about their day-to-day operations. We do have one item that I want to mention here is that on December 7th at between 4 and 6 p.m., the RTA will host its own budget hearing, which will cover the regional budget. And so that's going to be virtual, and you're welcome to visit our website for a registration link, or we can send it to all of you as well. Also, in that period, we will hold our next quarterly meeting of Transit is the Answer Coalition. Again, I encourage you all to join that, to be part of that conversation. So that is happening on the coalition meeting is happening on December 5th, and that's at the RTA. It is an in-person meeting as well. And so at that time, we're going to talk about, again, the budget, the legislative agenda, and a little bit more in detail with all the other implementation efforts that we have. So if you can, next slide, please. This is our last slide, and just the different ways to connect with us. And again, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come out and talk to you about our regional budget as well as the different challenges that we have. We're all going to have a seat at the table as far as the conversation goes in filling that fiscal cliff. At this time, we're happy to answer any questions. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to be in room 3500B, I think it is, where where we're going to be there for an hour after the meeting ends. So if anybody has any questions or comments, they're welcome to join us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, Wes Beckton, the DuPage County appointee to the Metro Board of Directors. Mr. Beckton is here to provide the agency's annual budget presentation. Welcome, and please proceed.
Thank you for having me, Madam Chair, members of the board. It's an honor to be here representing Metra as a 30-year resident of Elmhurst. I will be fairly brief. You all have received a copy of the 2024 proposed budget, both snail mail and via email. The Board of Directors for Metra approved this on Friday, and the budget includes two parts. One is an operating budget of just over $1.1 billion and a capital budget of about $500 million. The notable things there are that we are changing the fare structure. We're going from a 10-zone fare system down to a 4-zone fare system. This is a big deal. It's going to simplify the fare process without increasing the fares that our passengers pay. The biggest thing that I want you to take away from this is ridership. Ridership. We're looking at about a 56% of pre-pandemic levels in terms of ridership during the week. And as was already mentioned, that varies. Monday and Fridays, it can be in the 30s and as high as 60 to 70 during the week. And on the weekends, we're averaging about 80%. As those numbers continue to increase, the pressures on the budget continue to decrease. We are looking at an estimate in the same document for 2025. It's also going to be a balanced budget. The fiscal cliff that we're hearing about from RTA, that takes place in 2026 when the federal relief dollars run out. I did want to mention that we had the privilege of having Chair Conroy, Transportation Committee Chair Ozog, and also John Loper, Planning and Transportation from the county, come down to Metra back on May 19th, and we're able to give them a pretty extensive tour of just how complex an organization Metra is. And next time I'll plan better. I would have gotten a picture of you in a hard hat, wearing a vest, climbing up on a train, and she may have actually driven the train for a little bit, but I don't want to admit to committing any crimes because we don't have licenses to do that. But I do want to just end with a serious thing, and we're going to show a video clip here in just a minute. This is from body cam footage from Metra's own police department. Suicide prevention is a big deal for Metra employees, for Metra police, and for the community in general. We spent a lot of time educating the public, educating our employees about what to do and what we can do to prevent this, but it still happens. This video was shown at our board meeting on Friday and found it to be very touching because I think it touches on the compassion and the training that our officers have, and hopefully that'll come across in the video. So if we could play that now.
What do you mean? Nobody looks at you like you're a good person? I'm sure you are a good person.
I only fail when you get
This is again, I'm a former infantry officer in the Army. I'm not known to be an emotional guy, but I sort of teared up first time I saw that. 24-year-old young man, I've got a 23-year-old son. It touches you. But the compassion that these officers showed, that just is an example of the type employees that you have as part of the Metro system. So I'll be happy to take any questions you've got, but thank you for the opportunity to present today.
Member
Yes.
Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you both for your presentations. I just wanted to ask, you did kind of touch on this, but you said you're at 56% ridership and RTA said 60%. Are you seeing that plateau at all, or are you continuing to see an upward trend? And is the upward trend going up as fast as it has been in years past? I would love to see, as you are, but for so many reasons, I'd love to see the work at home model stop. And I have a college student graduating, and I just want to see the city back and vibrant as ever. So I just wanted to get your opinion on whether or not you see that to continue to increase.
Yeah, so I should preface this by saying this is my opinion, not necessarily Metro's. But I've got a 23-year-old son, and he said, I don't think this work from home thing's a good thing for my generation. Wisdom beyond his years. But unfortunately, I think that it's probably not going to dramatically change anytime soon. We have seen peaks when the ridership is during the week is closer to 80–85%. But if you get on the Eisenhower, drive into the city on Friday, it doesn't take that long. Try it on a Wednesday. We would love to take some of those people that are, slugging through traffic and getting them on Metro. But the Monday, Friday thing, I don't think we're going to see 100% return to work. And that's from some organizations that we get information from, Office Manager Association, Office Building Manager Association, and also some of our stakeholders that are out there that just are struggling with that.
Member Chaplin.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for the presentation today. And I just really wanted to compliment Metra on the good work that they do, getting your ridership back, having the trains working during the pandemic, but most importantly, your work on suicide prevention. Yeah. Hillary Conzel, who I know is your safety and environmental guru over there, he does a tremendous job. And while I was on the DuPage Road Safety Council with him, they would show how all the Metro police were trained to identify people that might be suicidal. And there was a story about a woman that came to the train like 3 days in a row and sat near the train but never got on. So finally, one of the police officers approached her and asked if there was something going on, that she wasn't getting on the train, and she explained what was going on, and they got her help. And then she spoke at one of the Railroad Safety Council conventions that we had. But you guys are really doing just outstanding work. Your signage, your training your officers needs to be commended. And it's great to see Dimitri here too. So thank you very much for everything that you do.
Dimitri's awesome. I forgot to say that.
He is.
He told me to say that, and I forgot to say that.
Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for the presentation. It was very well informed. I was visiting Barcelona, Spain, and they have a phenomenal system, not only trains and buses, but bicycles. Yeah. Don't know if that's something under your purview or if that's something that would be considered along the Metro train tracks, because a lot of our young people, as I have young kids like you do, although they're not as young as some, that is lifestyle for them, and the Metro isn't necessarily lifestyle for them. So that's maybe something to think about and consider with respect to the younger people. Also, I agree, I don't think Mondays and Fridays are going to be, there's not going to be an increase in ridership unless it's demanded by the employer, because I do believe it's a lifestyle for our younger generation. The one thing somebody mentioned, and I apologize if it wasn't you, Metro only allows free ridership for those individuals with SNAP. So does that mean CTA and PACE do not allow free ridership for those individuals? Is it only Metro that is allowing that under their program for those SNAP individuals?
Sure. I'm going to punt that one over there for
That's
just
fair.
a second.
That's fair.
But I did want to talk about the bike issue. We have 3 young people from the north suburbs that come to every meeting and they make public comments. And these are some very sharp young people. But they're talking about bicycles and the use of bicycles and being able to bring them on trains and maybe partnering with some organizations like Divvy to be able to increase that. And so what our CEO did, which I thought was brilliant, he got those 3 young people to be part of a bike task force that he's created to look at this. So yeah, we are absolutely looking at that issue. And I'm gonna leave the podium. It's very nice. What did she say? That's all I got? Yeah. What's that? Yay me.
Go me, right? To address the question about the Cook County pilot program, it is a pilot program with Cook County, the RTA, and Metra, and so this is free. So it's free and reduced rides for those who are eligible for the SNAP program. So our intent is to expand that service if the pilot, the pilot program goes very well. And so the idea behind this is that we would love to expand it to, the other 2 service boards, CTA and PACE. But we're going to start in partnership with Cook County with Metro only. Again, everybody within the RTA covered area will be eligible for it, which is 1.2 million people, but only on Metro. So,
great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I wanted to clarify, there was a question about ridership, and so our number of 60 to 62% is an average for the 3. So you see each one of them has different ridership, and PACE is experiencing the lowest. And then you got Metro, and then you got CTA. So.
Member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank everyone who's spoken today, and I want to echo Member Chaplin, everything you all are doing about outreach with suicide. I live right by the Glen Ellen station, and I've noticed there are signs for help, even on the tracks themselves, for helplines, et cetera. So I know that you are doing as much outreach as you possibly can. And I also want to thank you again for our tour. It was really very interesting to see all the activities that Metro does to take care of our transit system. So thank you so much.
Okay.
I don't want to take credit from Metro, but yeah.
Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. I would also like to just mention, in my community, we've had 2 tragedies of 2 high school students that have taken their lives on the train tracks. I'm close with both families. This affected, as you can imagine, the ripple effect, right? Yeah. They'll never recover, those 2 families, of course, and our community will never be the same. I commend you for being so proactive with the signage and addressing this issue. I have a question. Are you doing anything to target preventative measures? And obviously, just because this was the age group that has been affected in my community, these high school teenagers, about suicide awareness with the train, or is that I understand how delicate it is, because I am aware that sometimes the more attention you draw to something, right, you don't. So I know that the community and the high school has to walk a very fine line, but holy cow.
Yeah.
We need help.
No, thank you for the question, and I am not a mental health expert, but I did just want to mention that, yeah, it affects the families, obviously, the community, but there's someone's driving that train that hit another human being and took another life, so it affects everyone. And I'm using the term mental health because this is bigger than just trains. The numbers are up about 20% suicide and suicide interventions over same year-to-date information from last year. And there is a mental health crisis in our county, in our state, and in our country. And so I don't know that we're doing anything specifically to target that demographic, but I know with the DuPage Rail Safety Commission, I think that's something they could absolutely get to. We've got a wonderful, we've heard Hillary's name mentioned. He is on his job. He is actively looking at everything we can possibly do to prevent these incidents from happening.
Thank you, and maybe even someone who can talk about the impact. Like that video was so powerful, and it was, what, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the impact for these sort of impetuous decisions and actions. So anyway, I wanted to commend you for the job in addressing this, and I'm very aware it's not, has nothing to do with the Metra or anything. That's just the way it's being used. But thank you, and I do understand the ripple effect that I mentioned also affects 100% the drivers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. I seek a motion to approve the consent agenda
So moved.
items. Okay, thank you. 8A, 233677, DuPage County Board Minutes, regular meeting, Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. 8B, 233444, 10/20/2023 pay list. 8C, 233462, 10/24/2023 pay list. 8D, 233502, 10/27/2023 pay list. 8E, 233558, 10/31/2023 pay list. 8F, 233644, 11/3/2023 auto debit pay list. 8G, 233645, 11/3/2023 pay list. 8H, 233670, 11/7/2023 pay list. 8I, 233451, Treasurer's Report of Investments and Deposits, September 2023. HJ, 233600, change orders to various contracts as specified in the attached packet. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so moved. Okay, and now on to County Board. We'll have members A.
Morning, Madam Chair. Move on CBR 9523, the appointment of Dr. Lauren
Second.
Stoughton to Doctor of the Board of Health.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Zay.
Aye.
Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog.
Yes.
Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. And you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and now we are on to Finance and Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I move approval of FIR 026023, acceptance and appropriation of the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance 2023 DNA Capacity Enhancement for Backlog Reduction Program Grant Award in the amount of $395,280, the Sheriff's Office.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. You. Zay. And Cahill.
Okay, Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 026123, acceptance and appropriation of the Sustained Traffic Enforcement Program 2024 grant agreement in the amount of $39,027, Sheriff's Office.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 026223, budget transfers 11/14/2023, various companies and accounting units.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 026423, amendment to the grant agreement between the County of DuPage and Northern Illinois Food Bank for the use of ARPA funds for an increase to the total contract and an additional 4 months of funding.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 026523, a resolution for townships that opted out of the Northern Illinois Food Bank Fresh Produce Program for an additional direct payment ARPA item.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 026623, authorization to transfer funds from the opioid settlement fund to the DuPage County Health Department fiscal year 2024 in the amount of not to exceed $850,000.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 001923, recommendation for the issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services, Inc., Coalition to serve cyber liability insurance for the county for the period of December 1st, 2023 through December 1st, 2024 for insurance tort liability for a contract amount not to exceed $150,961.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 002023, recommendation for the issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services, Inc., National Casualty Company to provide employment practices liability insurance for finance tort liability for the period of December 1st, 2023 through December 1st, 2024 for a contract total not to exceed $52,708.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 002223, recommendation for the issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services, Inc., Chubb, to provide property insurance for all county properties, including the health department, including flood coverage insurance for the period of December 1st, 2023 through December 1st, 2024 for the finance department for a contract total not to exceed $373,051.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 002123, recommendation for the issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Service, Inc., Safety National Upland Specialty for excess general and automobile liability insurance for the county and health department for a period of December 1st, 2023 to December 1st, 2024, tort liability for a contract amount not to exceed $784,298.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 002323, recommendation for the issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services, Safety National, to provide workers' compensation insurance to the county and the health department for the period of December 1st, 2023 to December 1st, 2024 for finance tort liability for a contract amount not to exceed $199,751.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. And finally, I move approval of FIP 002423, approval of a contract purchase order to Corvell Corporation for third-party administrative services for the Human Service Department for the period of December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a contract not to exceed $100,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Animal Services and Member Krajewski.
No update.
All right, Development and Member Tonatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we get into it, just wanted to identify a couple of things on 12A and 12B. 12A is an intergovernmental agreement between Wheaton and the county regarding the building of the CRC, the Crisis Recovery Center. Wheaton has agreed with the county to allow the building to be built under the Wheaton zoning code, but we will be doing the permitting and inspection. It'll make for a much easier transition and a quicker building, so we want to thank Wheaton for that. And also 12B is a resolution regarding an additional $299,000 from IDA for essentially our Clean and Lean program. Wanted to thank Paul Haas and Jennifer and Felice for all their work on that. I would move approval of DCR 2-23, an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Wheaton and the County of DuPage for the transfer of certain regulatory authority from the city to the county exclusively for the development of the new DuPage County Health Department Crisis Recovery Center.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori.
Aye.
You. Zay. Aye. Cahill.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Aye. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Aye. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Aye. Ozog. Aye. Rutledge. Aye. And Schwarzy.
Member Tonatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCR 3-23, a resolution accepting a grant from the Illinois Housing
Second, most
Development
favorable
Authority Strong Communities Program Round 2.
It has been moved and seconded. Leave is granted. Yes, it is. Okay, Member Tonatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 57-23, zoning 2354, approval of a conditional use to increase the height of an existing shed, a conditional use to reduce the interior site setback for an existing
Second
covered
most
patio
favorable.
gazebo, and a conditional use to reduce the interior side setback for an existing spiral staircase.
Leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 58-23, zoning 2362. Move approval of a variation to allow a 6'6", 100% closed privacy fence.
Leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 59-23, zoning 2365. A conditional use to increase the total permitted area of a detached accessory building from 850 square feet to approximately 924 square feet, and a conditional use to reduce the rear setback
Second most
for an
favorable.
existing shed from permitted 3 feet to approximately 1.8 feet.
Leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 60-23, zoning 2368. Eckler, conditional use to allow an existing camper RV to remain parked within 30-foot counter-side setback.
Member Desart for a question.
Yes, I do have a question for the chair of the committee. I was in your committee, sir, when this was being discussed. And so what is the protocol to vote with a homeowner? Aye? Because this is voting in the affirmative, right?
Yes. Yeah. If you want to, if your inclination is to allow the conditional use, you vote aye.
Gotcha.
Or
Thank you.
favorable roll.
Okay. So leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 61-23, zoning 2371, to approve a
most
conditional
favorable.
use to allow finished side of fence to face inward instead of outward.
Leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
And finally, Madam Chair, move approval of DCO 62-23, an update to the DuPage County Building Code, and move their request waive of first reading.
Okay. Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Tonatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Economic Development. Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At our last meeting, we renewed our service agreement between Choose DuPage and the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau for the fiscal years of 2024 and 2025. It's been a wonderful year of fantastic work and progress that we are making with these two highly valued organizations and partners, and we look forward to continuing our vital partnerships in the years ahead. So thank you very much to Choose DuPage and DCVB. At next week at our Economic Development Committee, Lisa Shavat will present for WorkNet DuPage, and we're all looking forward to hearing that update and summary. Thank you so much.
Okay. And we have Member Rutledge and Environmental.
Thank you, Chair. No committee update this morning, but I do have one item. That is ENR 01923, recommendation for the approval of a grant agreement between the County of DuPage and Choose DuPage for Choose DuPage to manage sustainable DuPage for the period of December 1st, 23 to November 30th, 24 for a total amount not to exceed $60,000.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Aye. Tornatore.
Aye.
You. Zay. Aye. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Aye. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Aye. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Aye. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Aye. And Ozog.
Okay. Thank you, Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy and ETSB update.
Thank you, Chair. Today, our board's going to be approving an IGA between our Emergency Telephone System Board and our two PSAPs. Our PSAPs are our 911 organizations, DUCOM and ACDC. The IGA that we're going to approve today is meeting one of the goals that I set out 3 years ago when I got appointed to this chairmanship. It's the accumulation of 3 years' work by our PSAP directors, current, previous, and current, because we've had changeover, and our ETSB executive director. Linda Zerwin's done a fantastic job, along with ETS board members, village manager Michael Gutman and Joe Moranovitz. The grants of 911 surcharge to the PSAPs has been discussed for several years cautiously, just to ensure that we have the ability to provide these grants for more than 1 year. Impacting this process included consolidation costs, construction of the two new PSAP facilities, the replacement and refresh of all major systems going into the new dispatch centers, the unknown cost for the statewide next generation 911 network, which is still being deployed, And of course, the FCC changed its guidance for allowable and acceptable surcharge use in September of '22, so we had to take all that into account. With the 2 PSAPs remaining and the cost of the system leveling off, we are now able to move forward with this IGA that will provide money to our PSAPs, which will hopefully help support their direct application 911 costs and lessen the burden to their municipal partners. So with that, I move on item ETSR 5623, a resolution approving the county board execution of an intergovernmental agreement on behalf of the Emergency Telephone System Board to grant 911 surcharge funds to the two DuPage County Public Safety Answering Points to be used consistent with state and federal law.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Tornatori. You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. And Rutledge.
Okay, thank you, Member Swarzy, for that. And on to Human Services and Member Swarzy.
Thank you, thank you. Again, just a thank you to everybody on this board for all their hard work on our small human service grants. Everybody worked really hard to get that, and I just got to continue to give a shout out to our finance department who worked extra hard along with our state's attorney's office. And again, a thank you to Joan for helping put together this presentation today. So we get to always have a lot of hard decisions on this board, and it's nice when we get to do great things for our community like today. So I'll make a motion to approve item HSR 6523, a recommendation for approval of a Home Investment Partnerships Act agreement with Catholic Charities, tenant-based rental assistance in the amount of $300,000.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Tornatori. You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. And Rutledge.
Okay, Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on item HSR 6623, a recommendation for approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Village of Addison for the county under 24 CFR Part 58 to act as a responsible entity and perform the environmental review as necessary for Addison's community project funding grant.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSR 6723, recommendation for approval of a memorandum of understanding with the City of Wheaton for the county under 24 CFR Part 58 to act as a responsible entity and perform the environmental review as necessary for Wheaton's community project funding grant.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
I move on HSR 6823, recommendation for approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Wooddale Park District for the county under 24 CFR Part 58 to act as responsible entity and perform the environmental review as necessary for Wooddale Park District's community project funding grant.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 8123, awarding resolution issued to Healthy Air Heating and Air Inc. to provide furnace repair or replacement labor and materials for the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program for the period of November 1st, 23 through June 30th of 24 for a contract total amount of $206,008.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 8223, awarding resolution issued to Nortec Environmental Inc. to provide furnace repair or replacement labor and materials for Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program for the period of November 1st, 23 through June 30th of 24 for a contract total of $206,008.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 8323, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Northwestern Medicine Regional Medical Group, Dr. Meal, for professional services for a medical director for DuPage Care Center for the period of December 1st, 23 through November 30th of 24 for a contract amount not to exceed $36,000.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 8423, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Medline Industries, Inc. to furnish and deliver disposable isolation gowns for the DuPage Care Center for the period November 15, 23 through November 14, 24 for a contract total amount not to exceed $37,912.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 8523, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Cisco Chicago, Inc. for primary food supplies and chemicals for the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 23 through November 30th of 24 for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,246,500.
Leave is granted. Member Swarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 8623, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Cimbria Rehab, Inc. for Community Wellness Partner for the Wellness Center staffing and management through Outpatient Center at the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 23 through November 30th of 24 for a contract total amount not to exceed $66,000.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Finally, I move on item HSP 8723, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Cimbria Rehab, Inc. to provide physical, occupational, speech, and respiratory therapy and consulting services for the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 23 through November 30th of 24 for a contract total amount not to exceed $1 million.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. Okay, Judicial and Public Safety, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPS CO 000723.
Second.
Amendment to Purchase Order 60961, SERB issued to Public Safety Direct for the repairs and maintenance of existing sheriff's vehicles and upfitting of the new sheriff's vehicles to increase the encumbrance in the amount of $14,000, resulting in a new contract total amount not to exceed $740,816.70.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. And Eckhoff.
Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also like to move on JPSP 006723, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Strikers, Inc. for the purchase of ballistic and stab-resistant armor for the deputies for the period of December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $165,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Evans.
Thank you.
Okay, Legislative and Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Illinois General Assembly concluded its fall veto session. Both chambers are set to return to Springfield on Tuesday, January 16th for the 2024 spring legislative session. In Washington, newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson advanced a $14.3 billion emergency spending measure so the government doesn't shut down on Friday, with funding for Israel offset by cutting IRS funding. That measure is dead in the Senate, which is preparing its own emergency spending package, combining emergency aid for Israel and Ukraine. So the government could shut down by Friday, and I hope that it does not, because, I mean, on a personal note, all of our military people would not get paid, including my brother who is serving in Germany. So we need to keep funding our military personnel, our air traffic controllers, and all the people who are government employees. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Desart. Public Works and Member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. I have no committee update today. I move to approve PWR 000423, recommendation to approve the water purchase and sale agreement between the DuPage Water Commission and the County of DuPage, Illinois.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. And Galassi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
I move to approve PWR 000523, recommendation for concurrence of an extension of the water supply contract between the DuPage Water Commission and the City of Chicago, recommendation to approve the water purchase and sale agreement between the DuPage Water Commission and the County of DuPage, Illinois.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve PWP 004523, recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois and Fair Graham for on-call professional engineering services on an as-needed basis for wastewater treatment process control and infrastructure for the period of November 14th, 2023 to November 30th, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $95,000.
Okay, leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve PWP 004623, recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois and Trotter and Associates, Inc. for on-call professional engineering services on an as-needed basis for wastewater treatment plant permit reporting for Public Works for the period of November 14th, 2023 to November 30th, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $95,000.
Okay, we'll need a roll call, please.
Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. And Galassi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
Member Zay is leaving the room.
Yes, Member Zay has left the room. Member
Okay, I
Garcia.
move to approve PWP 004423, recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois, and Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited for on-call professional engineering services for water
Second most
system
favorable
design
roll.
and construction management and Lake Michigan water allocation for various regions around DuPage County for public works for the period of November 14th, 2023 to November 30th, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $95,000.
Okay, he was granted, no, we need a roll call, sorry.
Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. And Galassi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
I move to approve FMP 008623, recommendation for the approval of a contract of Valdez Supply to
Second.
furnish and deliver restroom tissue and paper towels to the Judicial Office Facility, JTK Administration Building, and the jail on a monthly basis and as needed for the Power Plant Children's Center, Office of Emergency Management, and the Coroner's Office for facilities management for the period of December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2024, for a total contract amount not to exceed $123,397.52.
Okay, roll call, please.
Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. And Galassi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
And finally, I motion to approve FMP 008723, recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois, and Gerke Technology Group, Inc. for
Second most
professional water
favorable.
treatment consulting and management services for facilities management for the 4-year period of December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2027, for a contract total not to exceed $116,973.60.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Garcia. And Stormwater and Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMR 7623, approval of intergovernmental
Second.
agreement between the County of DuPage and Village of Lisle for Main Street Storage Basin Project. This is an ARPA item.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Zay.
Aye.
Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. And Yu.
Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMR 7523, recommendation approval of memorandum of understanding between the County of DuPage, Forest Preserve District of DuPage County, and DuPage River Salt Creek Group to install a fish passage system at the Faywell Dam Flood Control Facility.
Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 7123, approval of a contract issued to Water Well Solutions Division to furnish all equipment, labor, material, and supervision necessary for Wooddale, Itasca Flood Control Facility, amount of $151,190,000, lowest responsible bid.
Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 7023, contract issued to Earthworks Land Improvement Development for on-call construction for stormwater management, in the amount not to exceed $2,222,774 per lowest responsible bid.
Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 6923, approval of a contract for V3 Construction Group for Main Street Basin Flood Control Project for stormwater management, in amount not to exceed $2,199,627.50 per lowest responsible bid.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 6723.
Second most favorable roll.
Approval, wow, everybody on that one. Intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and Naperville Township for Green Acres Drainage Project, amount not to exceed $45,000, ARPA item.
Okay, leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP
Second most
6823,
favorable roll.
recommendation for approval of intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and Naperville Township for Arrow Estates Drainage Project, amount not exceed $95,000.
Leave is
ARPA.
granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 6523, Approval of a contract issued to Scarce for professional education services, the amount not to exceed $235,000.
Leave is granted. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 6623, recommendation to a joint funding agreement between the County of DuPage, United States Department of the Interior, USGS for water resource investigations, the amount not to exceed $373,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, strategic planning and Member Colbert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No updates.
Okay, technology, and today we'll have the update from Vice Chair Eckhoff.
Yeah, no update. I'll just move on with the agenda. Move approval of TER 45-23, the adoption of the Technology Resources Acceptable Use Policy.
Okay, we will need a roll call on this, please.
Eckhoff.
Aye.
Evans. Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy.
Use and
Tornatori.
limitations of use
You.
of computer
Zay.
equipment by staff.
Cahill. Chaplin.
excited.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. And Desart.
Okay. Member Eckhoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd move approval of TEP 70-23, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to CDWG Inc. for the purchase of laptops, desktops, monitors, and docking stations for information technology for the period of November 15, 2023 through November 30, 2024 for a total amount of $148,610.70.
Leave is granted. Member Eckhoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd move approval of TE 71-23, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to BDO USA Solutions Provider LLC for the annual software maintenance of FireEye security software for a period of December 10, 2023 through December 9, 2024 for $165,113.
Leave is granted. Member Eckhoff.
Thank you. I'd move approval of TEP 72-23, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Imaging Systems, Inc., doing business as Integrated Document Technologies for the annual Highland and CAPSIS software assurance maintenance of imaging systems for the supervisor of assessments, treasurer, family center, coroner, and county clerk for the period January 1, 2024 through January 31, 2025 for a total amount of $63,376.
Leave is granted. Member Eckhoff.
Move approval of TE 73-23, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to IBM Corporation for the purchase of product software licenses for IBM ZOS and software support and maintenance for the BC12Z system server for information technology for the period December 1, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a total amount of $111,171.72.
Okay, we'll need a roll call, please.
Eckhoff.
Aye.
Evans. Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. And Desart.
Okay, thank you, Member Eckhoff. And Transportation and Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. By way of committee report, first of all, I want to thank RTA Chair Kirk Dillard and Kevin Buseo from the RTA and Wes Beckton for your presentations today. Mass transit has not seen such changes in decades as the current situation after COVID. So I think you're all doing a great job, and we're going to get through this and deal with the changes, and thank you for your presentation today. Also, I want to thank again Representative Caston and his office. Today we're going to hopefully approve the East Branch DuPage River Trail preliminary engineering, and this project's been talked about for over 20 years, and really excited to move this forward, so I think this will be a wonderful resource for the county. Going ahead, I'm going to move for approval of 233457, amendment to resolution DT 53B91 for renewal of an agreement of understanding between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for maintenance and construction.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ozog.
Yes.
Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPlante.
Okay, Member Ozog.
Thank you. This next item is to improve our existing Prairie Path. Move for approval of
Second
DTR
most favorable roll.
009223, an agreement between the County of DuPage and the Morton Arboretum for Illinois Prairie Path Enhancement Project funded by a grant from Nicor Gas to remove invasive understory growth and replace them with oak trees along a section of the Illinois Prairie Path, county to be reimbursed up to $10,000.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of 233590, rescission of local public agency agreement DTR 007923, and approval of revised agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation, County Highway 9 Lamont Road and County Highway 31 87th Street, section 1600-23200 County Highway. Estimated county cost $1,747,782.
Okay, leave is granted. Member Ozog.
Thank you.
Members
Okay.
A, leaving the room again.
Okay, I move for approval of DTP 010323, Local Public Agency Engineering Services Agreement between the County of DuPage and Christopher Burke Engineering for
Second.
professional preliminary engineering services for the East Branch DuPage River Trail from Illinois 56 Butterfield Road to the Illinois Prairie Path for a contract cost not to exceed $1,499,997. Professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process. County to be reimbursed $1,200,000.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ozog.
Yes.
Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPlante.
Okay, Member Garcia. Member Ozog, sorry.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 009023, joint funding agreement for
Second.
preliminary engineering between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for the East Branch DuPage River Trail from Illinois 56 Butterfield Road to the Illinois Prairie Path, county to be reimbursed 80% up to $1,200,000.
Roll call, please.
Ozog.
Yes.
Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPlante.
Okay, Member Ozog.
And finally, I move for approval of DTR 009123,
favorable roll.
agreement between the County of DuPage and the City of Aurora for the installation and future maintenance responsibilities of the central signal system. County to be reimbursed $49,918.66.
Okay, leave is granted. Thank you, Member Ozog.
Thank you.
Okay, and on to discussion on 233659. Seeing none, we'll be moving on to old business. Do any members have any old business? Ready, go. Okay, Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this morning in Finance, we had a robust discussion on our 2023 surplus and our ARPA consideration. So I was hoping with your approval that we could continue continue the discussion under old business and that I could try to get some consensus on these items so that we can move forward possibly with some of them.
Yes, let's do that. And those of you who have things that you'd like pulled out, perhaps you can.
Yeah. And can we pull up the presentation? Yeah.
Slide 12?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's the slide.
Keep going? Yeah, that one right there. So I'm wondering if we kind of go through and we can kind of, from what the discussion before, I think that there's some consensus, but the two most important for the 2024 budget, two items on here would be the first two I'd recommend maybe you guys consider would be the facilities management FY '24 capital for $3 million and the stormwater generator for Armstrong Park for $800,000 because those were pulled out of the '24 budget.
Yeah. So can we get consensus on the the facilities management capital funds for $3 million. Do we have any questions?
Okay, looks like
Okay.
we have consensus. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
I had my hand raised because I had a question.
Stormwater generator for 800,000.
Member Desart, did you have a question?
I did, thank you. So just going through this whole 2023 surplus budget summary, the Sheriff Hazardous Devices Unit response vehicle has already been approved. And the tablets have already been approved.
Yep.
So now we're moving on to facilities management capital at $3 million, and that is the HVAC system?
No,
What is that?
That's just, that's the yearly run rate that they need just to maintain what they have. Escalators, elevators, has nothing to do with that. That's what they need every year. So that is, for the last couple of years, we've been funding like this where we pull it out of the budget and pre-fund it. So that's a really important one.
So, wait, so if this is coming, if this is an expense that we have every year, why are we charging against our surplus?
We've done it that way for a number of years to free up.
So it's
other-
always coming
it's
out of our
always- Well, not
surplus?
always, but for the last couple of years, we've done it this way.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
So we have consensus on this item to move it forward for the, okay. Then the next one, the stormwater generator for Armstrong Park for $800,000. Get consensus on that?
Okay, consensus.
Great, great. So then, or I'm gonna write these
Animal
up.
services
Yep.
capital might be the.
Well,
We're-
I'm going through these as priority, yes, we're going through as priorities. So, the next one that Willowbrook Corner sidewalk design, for $500,000, can we get consensus on that moving forward?
Thank you, there's consensus there.
Thank you. Hold on. Then, can we get the 421 HVA system improvements?
So as part of this one, if I could at least have direction, so there's a couple steps for the 421 HVAC. It's not only here in the surplus, it's moving the items from ARPA to ARPA interest to free up the $2.5 million. So it's the whole, all the moves for the 421 HVAC.
Yes, yes. Consensus?
Okay.
So as
That's
we
not gonna
mentioned this
happen.
morning, to fund the 421 HVAC, you have 2.2 million here. You are freeing up, you're moving employee expenses from ARPA to ARPA interest. That frees up $2.5 million. So we'll use $2.5 million there, and then $1.5 million out of existing facilities management. Nothing's changing from what I presented. I just want to make sure it's the whole overall picture when you guys are voting on it.
Member
Okay,
Chaplin.
so we have consensus, correct? Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to get those out of the way because,
Was animal services, do you
well,
want to?
yeah, I'll go there then. Yes.
That's okay.
The animal
Continue,
services
Member
for
Chaplin.
$500,000. Can we get consensus on this moving forward? Animal services, $500,000?
Yep.
Okay, we have consensus.
Consensus.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, can we get consensus on the Housing Solutions Program for additional $2.5 million?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Member Desart.
Thank you. I can't give consensus until I find out how this money is going to be spent. Do we have a plan on spending the money?
So I would actually turn to our two co-chairs for the ad hoc housing. I know that is exactly what they're looking at, is figuring out ways to do this.
Right.
Ways to spend money.
The money.
On affordable housing.
Yeah, the money that we want to use this could be used for infrastructure, for, in the unincorporated areas, a lot of the areas don't have infrastructure. We could help bring the infrastructure in. We could give discounts to developers. Sam, help me here with some of the money that we can use, some of these down payments assistance we can use this money for, land acquisition. There's a lot of different ways that we can use this money, but we felt putting an additional $2.5 million in there would really show our commitment to affordable housing to really move this forward. And, we've heard that, we have a lot of interest now because we have, committed a significant amount of funds,
So we don't have a plan for the $5 million right today?
It's still being
I'm just
developed.
asking.
It's still being developed, but we figure, for land acquisition and infrastructure, we are gonna need significant, dollars.
Thanks, Liz.
So, thank you.
Okay, Member Kajewski.
Sure, I know Member Tornatore asked for a list, and this would have been one of my lists, is 2.5 million, including the next one, the 2 million of torts, and then a $500,000 later on for torts. These are things that we can put in reserve. They're not important right now. We don't have a plan in place. And when we do, maybe it's 6 million, 5 million, 3 million, there's a lawsuit for only a $500,000. At that time, we can then authorize the money. For affordable housing, first of all, one of the biggest things a county can do is with the zoning, whether it's variances and more density. I mean, that will really incentivize development. You get more density, and I think that's discussions that are taking place, where you're gonna allow certain areas to have more density. That's a big benefit for them. So that may be what they want versus.
And that's definitely on the table for
Correct.
consideration.
And, we're only gonna be having some money is a layer in the financing. As we heard the exec director from IDA, there's 7 to 9 layers of funding. We may only be providing $1 million as an incentive, or quite frankly, what Indianapolis and Maryland, or Indiana and Maryland are doing, is they're offering incentives by using reserve monies and doing it for the construction loan and get paid back once that thing comes online at a low interest rate, 1%, 2%, whatever. So there's all kinds of ways to fund it, and we already have $2.5 million in there. When a plan comes forward, I think that exec director who was here said that IDA's accepting their tax credit deals like in January. I'm not sure we're that far along where anybody in DuPage is gonna submit, but maybe. But at that point, we'll know, as Member Desart said, we'll have a plan. We'll say, this one will go forward if they get X from the county. And we can then at that time take the money out of the reserves. But in the meantime, it could be 2 more years, or we don't even need it. Some other thing like food insecurity may come up, and we can then at that time fund it. So again, that's one of them, and I wouldn't be for doing that because we don't have a plan yet. I'd let it keep it in reserve until we have one.
And from everything you said is absolutely correct. You can move it there. I will say that when the news came out, when I think the chair released in September that she was recommending the 2.5, it kind of planted the flag on that, and we did have developers coming from across the country taking notice on that. So but if it's in reserves, you can take it from reserves as well.
Okay, Member Ozog, then Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's really imperative that we send to our communities a message that we are really committed to affordable housing. Yesterday in the New York Times, there was an article about the state of Vermont. It's about to become the canary in the coal mine regarding older workforce. So people don't move to Vermont, although my daughter did last year, because of the lack of affordable housing. They are paying, I think, $27 an hour to work in a creamery. They cannot get people to work there. But one of the biggest problems they have, and again, it is a vacation state as well, so there's a lot of second home purchases, but they don't have housing. And it's really a problem that if we can possibly do something about this issue now, it'll definitely help us down the road in terms of being able to attract a workforce and to continue to have a reasonable workforce here. So I think earmarking it right now. I also think about the contrast of where we were at in 2016, 2017, when I believe $1 million was cut from our community services budget. So we have this money now, and I think earmarking it is a really prudent thing to do because this is a benefit. I think we've spent this ARPA money incredibly responsibly, but I think this is something that we really need to show a commitment to our community. Thank you.
Member Rutledge.
There we go. Thank you, Chair. Agree with much of what Member Ozog said. The $5 million towards this problem is kind of a drop in the bucket as far as I'm concerned. So yes, we'll need to decide how this gets spent, but I think like Member Ozog said, we need to approve this today to let our people know that we're helping with those challenging issues living in our county. The second thing I wanted to ask Nick, and it kind of came up in between meetings, if we put this money into reserves, do we need a 2/3 vote
You do.
to take it out?
Yeah, if
So-
you need 2/3 to take it out of reserves.
Okay, and then if we put it in these various buckets, it would not impact any interest that we might earn on that money?
You're still gonna earn the same interest.
So regarding which
The interest
bucket
would be
it comes out
The
of,
difference would be, the interest would be dedicated to that fund. So if you put 2.5 million in this, because it's a dedicated fund, the interest you learn
Yep.
from the 5 million would go to that fund. Whereas in reserves, it would go to just so that's the only difference.
okay, and for that reason alone, I would not want to put this in our reserves because of the number of votes that need to come to get it out of there. And again, this $5 million is clearly not enough for this problem. So any interest that we might earn by, segregating this to that particular use, I think is ample reason to leave it in these buckets.
Member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. I know when I've been out talking to everyone in the county, one of their biggest concerns is affordable housing. And I think that when this news came out that we were making it a priority, I heard from a lot of residents that they were thrilled that this board was taking this on as a serious concern. I know in my own family, I've had people move away. They can't afford to live here and work here. They can't do that because they can't afford the housing. And I think that if we don't put this in the fund, much for what, Member Rutledge and Member Ozark just said, I think it would be the wrong message that we'd be sending out to the county. Thank you.
Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. Most everything that I was going to say has been said by the most recent board members who spoke. And I certainly appreciate Member Krajewski's thought process. I just know that, the prices of building materials have tripled in the last, handful of years. And in the big scheme of things, the current $2.5 million is not very much money for this goal. And even $5 million isn't a lot of money for this goal when houses, the average price of houses are selling for $400,000 now, and that's the average price. So I'm for putting this $2.5 million in the affordable housing account.
Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of good information. I will say Member Tornatori and Member Chaplin did a great job on the Housing Ad Hoc Committee. A lot of great information came out in those committee meetings, and if you haven't watched them, you really should get affiliated with what we're talking about because it is multifaceted. It's not just about affordable subsidized housing, but also what people might consider affordable or not affordable with respect to middle market housing. We have teachers, we have police officers that are in that workforce housing category that would be considered affordable housing also. So this board actually needs to kind of do a little bit more of a deep dive and identify if they want subsidized affordable housing and that to be the main direction in which this board wants to go, or if they want to do more of a middle market affordable housing for our workforce individuals, and if that's the focus, or if we're going to do a multiple of all. I will say and we heard this through the ad hoc committee presentations, if you do want to get developers and builders engaged, they run on money. They don't run by the goodness, right? Although they're wonderful people, but they do need to keep their lights on. So we got a lot of really good information at those committee meetings. I will say I've been a real estate broker for over 20 years, and having a concept of I want to make sure we have affordable housing, but everybody being on a different page as to the definition of affordable housing is a big problem. And so we really need to do more of a deep dive. I do think that having it in a reserve would continue that conversation into a deeper dive into it versus adding it on and doing the whole 5 million. I think the 2.5 is a good start, but I don't think this topic's going to go away. Thank you.
Okay, Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this board's taken the first step. I mean, we want the headline to be takes first step, but then we put an additional $2.5 million on there with no plan. Wouldn't it be better in 4 months or 3 months or whenever it is, when the board comes back and says, by the way, we're going to change the density for zoning. We're going to help with utilities, with water and sewer. We're going to do all this, and here's our plan. And by the way, here's our plan. And we're going to put an additional $2.5 million in now because now we know what the plan is. Or we just, like Member Gusson said, we're going to throw it out there and everybody has a different meaning for affordable housing. I mean, I think part of my constituents that I talk to, the biggest problem in affordable housing in DuPage County is the property tax. And we're not doing anything to address that. I mean, I don't think what every member thinks that we're going to put this $5 million in and we're going to put in thousands of affordable housing next year. I mean, this is a process that's going to have to take time. We're going to have to bring people in. And we're going to see, too, if affordable housing was a big interest, we'd have a lot here. But what we have in DuPage County, I know from stormwater, years of stormwater, what parcels of property we have problems with. That's why they haven't been developed. So we're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to work on density. We're going to have to work on stormwater credits. We're going to have to work on a lot of stuff to bring this affordable housing in. And I just don't want to say, hey, we're doing a job and they all feel good and we're throwing an additional $2.5 million in on top of $2.5 million and we don't have a plan. I don't think anybody's against affordable housing. We're just saying, let's get a plan together. Then we can put that additional money in there. I think that's all we're saying. We're not, because it's a 2/3, I don't think anybody's going to try to block anything. We're just saying, let's have a plan, then we'll put additional money into it, and then that will draw people in.
Okay, so first I want to say no one on the DuPage County Board is going to throw money at affordable housing. It will be thoughtful. The process has been thoughtful. I would really like to commend Member Tonatori and Member Chaplin for the work that they have done. And many of you, the majority of this board, has made it a commitment to be at all those meetings. There's a few that haven't been able to attend. I would encourage you to do so. Where the money goes now is not really the priority. The priority is that the community understands that our commitment to affordable housing is there. Member Tonatori and then Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whether we put this $2.5 million into reserves or otherwise, really at the end of the day, I don't think makes a great deal of difference. What it does is it shows a commitment. And that's what I think the discussion has to be. The question I have for you, Nick, is that if this money were put into a fund, as has been suggested, and for whatever reason, the Affordable Housing Task Force blows up and we don't do anything, that money can then be moved for other purposes.
The board, you guys could move it from, just like reserves, you could move it from pot to pot within, bucket to bucket within what you have.
Right, so if suddenly there is a run on potatoes and we have a problem with food insecurity,
it's as good as
we
reserve.
can move that money over there. It's as good as having it in reserves. And in the interim, we've made the indication about a commitment toward affordable housing that we wouldn't have made had we put it in reserves from the get-go. So, I'm not going to die on this hill over the $2.5 million, because at the end of the day, I think if we do decide to go forward on this, that I can't believe that anybody would block additional money needed for affordable housing. If they did, I think it'd be political suicide. But the reality is that I do think it's important to make the commitment and show the commitment, because the $2.5 million has generated a lot of interest. I can only imagine what $5 million is going to do. Yeah. And to suggest we don't have a plan, I think is an incorrect assessment of what we've been doing. We've been formulating a plan. We have a plan. If you've been to those meetings and you've seen what we've done and the people who've come here, we're developing that plan. We've got an investment in with a company, Grounded Solution, that is helping us develop the better plan. My position, and I think Liz has been from the get-go, is that we have to have a foundation to make this work. And that means taking it slow. And we've had person after person and entity after entity talking to us so that we can develop that foundation. Yes, we don't have a plan tomorrow to build affordable houses wherever, but we've got a plan, and our plan is to continue to move forward with it. So I don't think that putting it into what we're looking at here is gonna change anything, but for the fact that it will, I think, signal to the development community that we're serious, and even twice as serious as we've been up until now.
Thank you, Member Tornatore. Member Ozog.
Sorry. I really think it's important for us to earmark this money, and I think going forward, I can speak to some discussions that have been had in Glen Ellen about redevelopment of property. I personally have lived in front of townhomes and apartments they're right behind me, for almost 38 years. But there's very little of that in Glen Ellen, and right now there's a discussion of a development on Roosevelt Road, and it has brought out all sorts of misinformation. We live in a misinformed society. So when people hear words, and I'm sorry, but they are a dog whistle word, subsidized. Subsidized immediately brings up all sorts of red flags, et cetera. But there are many levels of affordable housing, and sometimes people need subsidies as well, but there's affordable workforce, et cetera. And yes, we don't have specific designations right now, but I think it's really important that we show this commitment, because unless we want to end up like Vermont, it does not have enough workers they have expansion, they have economic expansion, and they don't have workers. And that's where we could head. We are an affluent county, and it shows in the prices of the houses down the street from me, et cetera. So we need to really think about this. This is our families. This is my adult children. This is everybody's adult children. How do you come back to DuPage? And I really think that we need to earmark this and send that message to the community. Thank you.
Yes. And if
Okay,
I may to
anybody else?
close,
Member Krajewski.
and then I'll close.
Yeah, I'm sure that we have a plan and we have a number of different tools in the toolbox that we can use. For me, the plan is a specific property that, say, like Bloomingdale, that the project's coming there and they want, instead of 20 units, they want a variance so they can go more density, 25 units, they want less setbacks, and they want X dollars in funding because they're short on the gap. A specific project coming forward, and at that time we can address it. We have all kinds of tools. We have the ability to change zoning, grant variances, put money into it. That's the plan I'm talking about. I'm not saying that we don't have a plan. We have a number of different tools that we can use. I'm just saying at the time when it comes forward with a specific project, we'll actually know the dollars, and then we can decide if we're going to help fund that project.
Okay, so as Member Zay mentioned, and which I mentioned earlier too, we know a lot of the unincorporated area needs a lot of work. That's, like you said, and that's what I said earlier, to bring in infrastructure, to fix the stormwater. It's gonna cost a lot of money to do that, to make that land available for a developer. I'm just very disappointed because we brought this up a month ago or so with the budget, and we knew this was coming, and to have this discussion right now with the concerns being brought up now is a little disappointing. So I think by putting it in reserves, I think it signals to the public that maybe we're not quite as committed to affordable housing. I think it does the exact opposite, and I think I feel very strongly that we should put this in its own bucket. We've been doing this, putting funds in away for special projects since the pandemic started and we got the CARES money, and we did it with our ARPA money. And as we know, if something were to happen, we haven't spent the money, we can always pull it and put it towards an emergency need. Piling up reserves also sends a very bad message to our residents that we are hoarding money, possibly collecting, too much tax, but we know that's not true because our property tax is very, very low from the county standpoint. And I'm of the firm belief that if we spend dollars on our community, which this is our community, we've heard we haven't spent any money on helping our people. This will definitely help people in our community. But when people see a value in the tax dollars that you spend, they don't mind that you're spending it. I'm totally in favor of putting this in a special account. But I will go with the majority. I have to go with the majority, so.
Okay, so let's see if we can get a consensus around this. Who is in favor? In favor of the 2.5 being added to our current commitment. Okay, we have consensus. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Member Chaplin, I would recommend that maybe from here, we go to pay our slide number 22.
But can we get the tort liability?
With this tort liability on
Oh,
22. So
okay.
what we have left on here is tort and reserves, which are both on 22.
I don't have a page number on mine.
Back one. This one right here.
Oh, I got it.
This one right here.
Okay.
So because you have both tort and reserves, we can talk about it on this one. Because I think that the reserves will decide which ones are voted on.
Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna move on to additional reserve funding.
Maybe I'll go to sheriffs first, maybe.
Oh, okay. Wait, where's the sheriff's? That's not the slide then that I'm, oh, wait, you want me to go the 1.8 million, so you want me to start with the cameras first, Nick?
The road scales and cameras.
All right, okay. So, can I get consensus on the road scales for the sheriff? Okay, we got that.
Okay, consensus is there.
Can
Thank you.
I get consensus on the jail cameras? Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. Now we'll go up to, how about the accrued benefits? Can we get the 637,000?
Okay, Member Cahill has a question.
Yes, so my point is that as you can see on his previous slide, there's like,
9 million.
yeah, 9 million. 2 million in the Bank A sick time retention is 7 million, so that's 9 million. So why can't we increase that? Why can't we make that like 1.5 million? If we pay that down, we are saving ourselves so much money, millions of dollars. So why don't we take some of this maybe out of the tort additional funding and move that down to accrued benefits funding? Is that something somebody wants to see? Let's increase it.
It's up to the tort. If you guys free up money on the tort liability, you can move it there.
Okay, Member Kajewski?
We put that out there.
Right.
If they come back and it's $5 or $6 million worth want to take advantage of it, then we'll take it out of reserves and we'll pay that whole thing off.
So if I could take just a little bit of opportunities, I know a lot of employees watch these things, and obviously those benefits are very important to them. There is no plan to take it away. The only thing would be to offer a voluntary, early payout of that. And if, depending on the funding, where we're at, there's a lot of, we have to work with the state's attorney, IMRF, we have to get it all lined out. I would think the first quarter of '24, I could have a plan in front of this board for consideration to do that. But, and obviously, I firmly believe that fiscally, it's really a good idea because it's benefit for both the employees and for the employer.
Sure, absolutely.
So we will move something forward, and if there's way more interest in it than I thought, this is a really good idea to use reserves even for this, because it will lower our obligations for the future. But let's see what we have. Like I said, the one thing with the accrued benefits would be, this would be an automatic sweep for any other, if our surplus increases, we would sweep it into this. This would be where it goes to.
So at the end of the year, when we get the actual number, any excess surplus over that 18.9 million is going to sweep into here.
Absolutely.
Yep, oh, we can't hear, could you put your mic?
Can I make a motion, or can you suggest that we move the tort liability funding down to the accrued benefit funding?
The two.
500 additional. It's not on the agenda.
No, we just make the adjustment and then.
Member Garcia?
Right.
sorry, I understand what you're saying, Member Cahill, but I believe that what Nick, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, said was that if we start with the $637 and $780, if we have more people who are interested, we can always add to that at a later date. Is that correct?
This is one of those where both options are actually good. I'm a firm believer that the accrued benefits are really important to offer because there's a finite number, and if we offer it and people take it, it's great. If they don't take it, we have the money reserved, and it's a benefit for our OPEBs on our audit.
So I would be in favor of the 637 to start with.
I will tell you that from the tort liability, I'll also say that I do feel that there is a need for additional tort liability. Is it 2 million as the chair recommended, or 2.5? That's up to the board to figure out.
Okay, Member Rutledge. Oh, I'm sorry.
One quick point. The general fund spends $2 to $4 million every year paying out retention and sick benefits, along with, any vacation time that needs to be paid out. So 100% funding this would save that amount of money in the annual budget.
Not the 4 million, because we're not talking the vacation or the comp. It's the bank A and the retention is probably 2 to 3 million is a benefit you will see moving forward on every budget year.
Okay, Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. Okay, what did I, I'm sorry.
It's a long morning.
It's okay.
I said Chaplin, I did, both C's. Anyway, so I like Member Cahill's proposal for this because, we all have personal experiences when we come here. My husband had a small pension from a company I'd worked for, and I got a buyout offer from that pension company this year that, yes, it would have been a small amount of income until I die, but for me, it was a no-brainer to take that buyout to be able to turn that money into an investment vehicle.
To that exact point, I have had employees in Public Works who have quit their job here in order to get those benefits because they needed the money. What we're doing is, theoretically, we are going to offer the money and they do not have to quit here and keep working. And so they might have a higher and better use, be it college, whatever, but they can make that decision. If they don't want to take it, they don't have to. But I've had several employees had to quit because they needed the money, and then they went and got another job where they would have chosen to stay here.
Yeah, and in this market, with what we're struggling with to attract employees, I think that this is a no-brainer, and I'll totally support Member Cahill's proposal for this.
Okay, so we have Member Eckhoff and then Member Ozog.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. We have a retention policy in place, and now we're doing an early buyout of the retention policy?
Your retention, the board approved retention back in 2000, and it eliminated it in 2002.
Right.
Everybody's grandfathered in at that date. So every year it's less and less and less.
Right.
We owe that obligation is absolutely paid, right? We owe it, and that is a liability on the books just like debt. Same thing with the bank A sick time. That policy is done as well. This board ended that in 2012, but that liability is on the books as well. What we're suggesting is let's fund those liabilities to get them off the books. We know that they're a liability. We know we have to pay them. Let's make an opportunity for employees, instead of having to quit to receive that money, they can get the money so that it's off our books.
So it'll be less than if we pay them when they just retire now?
Absolutely, because it goes up by the cost of living every year.
It's an early buyout of a retention program.
Yeah, it goes up by the cost of living every year.
Just want to make sure I
Member
understood.
Ozog.
I've been trying to follow everything that we've been, is it possible, I don't know if, did you suggest this, Member Cahill? Could we do 1.5 million for the tort fund and add $500,000 to the liabilities for the employees?
The original was 2 million for the tort fund.
2 million for the tort.
Additional 500,000. So I was suggesting take that 500,000 on the additional and move that down to the accrued benefit fund.
And keep the 2 million, the original 2 million for tort.
That sounds, okay, so 2 million will go to the tort fund. And then an additional
the
500,000.
600 plus 500 for the accrued.
Oh, okay. I can support that. That sounds.
Okay.
Okay.
Member Galassi.
I just wanted to echo that I would support that to move the 500 additional tort fund down to the accrued employee benefits.
Okay, before we continue on this, all right, Member Kojewski, sounding like we're having consensus here.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, but I would do the same argument I made in affordable housing. I think all the tort should just go into the reserves or $500,000 into the pension, and then when something happens and you come to us and say we have X, whatever
That's a
lawsuit.
decision of the board.
Because we're gonna have to fund the lawsuit anyways, but if we have one, but at the time we have it, then we'll know what it is and we'll have to make the decision. In the meantime, it could be 2 years before that, and there may be something else that is more important that we can then use the money. Same argument.
Member Evans.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Nick, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused by this. So if, let's say an employee's been here for 25 years and they did get a retention bonus and they're just kind of maybe getting ready to retire, but they don't want to retire yet, would we be able to now, under this, pay them off and then they stay here though?
Yes.
And then so they get that money early?
Yes.
That would be, okay, that would be
Yes.
fantastic.
I will tell you, there's a lot that I have to work, there's a lot of details I have to work out. I mean, worst case scenario, if I work with the state's attorney, IMRF, and there's a problem, worst case scenario, you've reserved all of our liabilities and we've got it funded. Best case scenario, I come back to you and we figure out how to pay these benefits out. So either way, it's a win-win by reserving this and creating this account. This is something that's never been done. We've never had an account created, and it's a guarantee for the employees out there that yes, we take this liability seriously, we're pre-funding it, and we're having the money sitting there.
And then what would the timeline be on, like, so, you know, so for next year, if we approve this, when would they be able to get that money?
It's optional, and I want to repeat that again for all the employees. It would be an optional, they can choose. We'd have to figure out how it works out. If we come with a plan to you for adoption, it would start once you guys approve that resolution. So I would say by mid-2024, we could have a plan up and running where theoretically, for the people that would like to cash out, we would cash out.
Okay, final comment, Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually think it's a good financial policy to actually have those accrued benefits funded. I agree, adding the 500,000 to it, I mean, it's our liability, so we might as well make sure we have a bucket that we can go into specifically for that, because we know it's gonna be our liability anyway, so I would agree with that. Tort, I agree, I think, yeah, adding to the reserve of the tort liability is a good thing. However, you know, we live in a very litigious society, so I'm not sure what's the most amount of money that's recommended, or like what our past history has been with people suing the county. Trip and falls type of things.
So I think that there's been reports given to this board previously, and I think that it would be, I mean,
similar.
The 2 million requested for tort is requested for a reason.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Member Chaplin, how do you want to do this?
All right, so I guess what we're gonna do is we're going to take the additional tort liability funding of $500,000 and move that down to the accrued benefits for $1,137,780. Do I have that right?
Okay, so that's what we're looking for consensus
We have
on.
consensus on that?
Okay.
Okay, we do. Yes, we do.
Great, thank you. Okay. Well, we killed two birds with one stone there. I don't mean to be mean about the birds.
Thank you, Member
but-
Cahill.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Member Cahill.
Go
Okay. And then we have $2 million for the Division of Transportation for the Infrastructure Fund. Do we have consensus on this?
Member Kojewski evidently has something else to say.
No, I argued for 10 years to get money from the RTA tax to go into the transportation, but we just raised the gas tax, you know, the state legislature gave us the ability, and so I know, and just before I left there, the funding model showed that we had a lot of money in transportation. Honestly, there's a lot of stormwater problems out here. We got a lot of unique properties left here. I'd like to see more money go to stormwater. Remember, Guston brought me into a meeting with all the developers out there, And even with affordable housing, the infrastructure needs to be taken care of in this county. And so I know short-term, we probably need to do more with stormwater. I think transportation with the gas tax has enough money for the next couple of years. I agree, we should start putting RTA taxes into the transportation, but I think there's an immediate need for stormwater. So Jim, I think we should get you something.
Yeah,
Okay, well, yes, we want to make sure we take care of members A. Member Ozog.
He approached because I asked him to approach.
Yeah, Nick asked for me to come up here. So I can tell you the $2 million we got last year has been already obligated for projects. A lot of it's just engineering, some went to construction last year. We have about $8 million worth of funds that we could apply the RTA to. We also, some of you may remember from the joint meeting, we have a very large building, maintenance building we're going to be constructing. So anytime that we can have another fund source to fund the roadway projects, and a lot of these are going to be focused on bike, ped, transit safety, congestion relief. We can then take any of the dollars that we do get from the gas tax and apply it to that rather large maintenance building. It's 9.1 now, and probably 38 million.
So we're getting an additional 38 million in transportation?
Not additional. We doubled it, went from 4 to 8, so we
Okay,
were collecting 20.
So
we're getting
additional
another
$20 million is coming in now. For a few years ago, when I was arguing for $1 million or $2 million for transportation, we're now getting 20 million more.
Yes.
With the gas tax.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Member Ozog.
But you got to fund 2 people now to replace me. That's why I was up here.
Maybe.
Member Ozog.
Thank you, Chris. You're done for this moment right now. You know, to me, it was really unfortunate that that money was not going to transportation for so many years. So I think it's really appropriate, and especially in light of our joint meeting and what our needs are. And again, this comes down to building for not 10 or 20 years, we're building for 50 or 75 years into the future. And I think that the $2 million is appropriate, and we really should do it because it is the regional transportation tax. Thank you.
Members A.
There you go. Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I was here when this board at the time made the decision of either funding public safety or funding transportation. And that's what the RTA is spelled out for. I'm tired of hearing that it's one or the other. It was both. And this board decided at that time to fund public safety. And it was either that or we were laying off sheriff's deputies and we were in big financial problem. If we didn't get that RTA tax, I don't know, Nick, where were we gonna lay off? 300 people at that time? So just to characterize now and say, oh, which we would have spent it on it, the county made a conscious decision to spend it on public safety and save 300 employees' jobs and fund it that way. And sorry it didn't work out, we can fund transportation, but that's why Springfield made it either public safety or transportation. Other counties picked transportation. DuPage County at the time picked public safety. So we're not doing anything wrong. We used it the way it was meant to be spent, either or, and this county at the time decided to do it on public safety.
Okay, and that's been done many places as well, not just here in DuPage. Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Member Zay, for that history. Did not know that. Thank you. Quick question I have, though. The gas tax of, what, 38 million? Quick question, obviously, it's for improvement of roads, you know, making sure we don't have potholes and all of the things that are related to transportation. Quick question is electric vehicles. Are we going to have some type of tax that can afford the county funds to be able to deal with, obviously, their vehicles, not there, but those vehicles on the road? And maybe there is already, and I just don't know.
So when you're talking is there a tax on electric vehicles, that's a bigger, broader question for legislative and probably for the state, that because there's nothing that's in place right now.
So for electric vehicles, there is a annual registration fee. All that money goes to the state of Illinois. None of it goes none of it is redistributed to local agencies.
They've been talking for a while. That's maybe a bigger topic at legislative that we can go through.
Sure, great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, going back into deepest, darkest history, if I recall, I believe that of almost every county in Illinois was using that RTA tax for transportation. We were one of the very few that did not. And if I also recall, there were many years where there was absolutely no consideration of raising the levy in spite of really serious budget considerations. And again, I wasn't here for all of that, but I do really think that using $2 million in the past 2 years, $2 million this coming year of regional transportation tax money is really important and appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. So, just to add a little history to this RTA tax, you know, yes, some communities did. They did. Some of them used it for public transit and or public safety and transportation. But the majority of the counties, the majority of the funding went to transportation. So, DuPage County, we are heavily reliant on sales tax to balance our budget. Most of the other counties around us, the majority of their budget is property tax, right? So that's how they were able to use their RTA tax for transportation, because they collect much more property tax than we do. We, on the other hand, pretty much balance our budget. The majority of our budget is from sales tax. So at the time, we didn't have the luxury to use the RTA tax towards transportation, and as members, they said they used it towards public safety. But I do look at transportation as part of public safety, because safe roads are very important. And also, investing this $2 million into our transportation, you know, having a good transportation system, good roads, good trains, you know, that leads to our economic success too. Because if we don't have a good transportation system here in DuPage, that plays an impact on our economy. So I think $2 million, you know, out of the, what is it, how much do we get? Over 30?
No, it's far more than that.
It's 58 million. 58 million, yes, 58 million.
64 or 63, I think.
Right, so it's gone, yeah. So only 2 million out of that, I think is very reasonable. So I totally support this.
Okay.
How many counties get RTA tax?
Excuse me?
The Collar
How
County, just
many-
the Collar
How many counties get RTA tax?
The Collar counties,
I don't know.
5, so it's
Yeah.
not all of the counties in
No.
the state, it's 5 counties.
the
Collar County.
Collar counties. Yeah, downstate has a little issue with transportation. Okay, how do we want to do this?
So do we have consensus on using the RTA tax for our transportation? Looks like
Okay.
we have
Yes, we do.
consensus. Okay, great.
So, regarding the surplus, the only thing remaining then is tort liability for 2 million or moving the 2 million to reserves.
Wait, where do I see that? Where do I see that on my?
That's the only remaining vote that our
Oh,
consensus you
okay.
need.
All right, so
Member Cahill.
One comment about tort liability. So as a CPA and an auditor, when the auditor comes in and prepares the audited financial statements, they do something called a subsequent events review. And they take a look at post their date in the field, and they decide if there's any pending litigation. And they talk to staff, they talk to everybody, and they don't disclose what it is, but they say there may be pending litigation that could have a financial impact on the financial statements. So therefore, I would suggest that, yes, go ahead and put this 2 million away just in case, because this is what we're being told, is there is some exposure there.
It is as good as reserves, to be honest with you. It's still in there. I mean,
yes.
Okay, do we have consensus on this?
2 million.
Okay, and we do.
So, can we go to slide 24?
Slide 24. Correct,
Next one.
ARPA closeout.
So, ARPA, obviously, the lion's share of this is food insecurity, as recommended by the chair. You already gave a consensus on the Metropolitan Family Services, so that's really not of an issue. Final 2 items in here are the finance and facilities management staff. So I guess those are the three items in ARPA.
Okay, so can we get, did we get the consensus on the food, or no, we did not get
Food,
consent?
not
Okay.
yet.
Can we get consensus on the 1.5 million for food insecurity?
Okay, looks like we have it.
That's great, thank you. Okay.
We assumed, yeah. Okay, okay. Good morning, Mr. Swarzy.
Do we have consensus on the finance administration staffing?
You can vote on at the same time, the two of them.
Okay, the two together, finance administration and project management.
Yes.
And once again, somebody knows, we're gonna be taking out 2.5 million out of it and putting in ARPA interest in order to free up for the 421 HVAC. So as we talked about, that'll be happening in here. So that's part of it. And then the final one, if we could go to slide number 29. And once again, ARPA interest, if you guys don't want to move on ARPA interest, you can, this is going to sit there in ARPA interest in there till you guys do act. So you don't necessarily have to act on this one, but the couple that you do, the one you do have to act out is the first one, the 2.5 million for the reallocation that we talked about. We need that. And then, I mean, it's up to you. The small nonprofits were pretty successful this year. And if those agencies can plan on it and know the money's coming for 3 years, that will mean a lot to those agencies.
Okay.
Member LaPlante has a question.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. Under the Small Nonprofits Program, does that budget allocate for additional staffing to help with this program?
When you say additional staffing.
Well, meaning this last time, we had, a lot of discussions about this.
I mean, there was a lot of things that obviously we learned on that one.
Right.
I mean, we've got sufficient staffing to handle that. And I will tell you, if you think, ARPA, you just allocated everything. So the ARPA team is available to have more available to do this. So I think we have sufficient staffing to handle the next small profit.
Wonderful.
grant
Just wanted to
program.
make sure that we had enough allocated then. As long as I have the mic, may I go to question number 2? I would like to suggest now to not fund, not to get a consensus right now on the Heritage Gallery redesign, because I think there's some other ideas that we wouldn't even have to spend
Not
that
fund
kind
which
of money.
ones?
The Heritage Gallery redesign. For example, in the Capitol in Washington DC, the last time I was there, there is the, what is it called? I wrote it down, hold on. They use it instead to have art displayed, an art competition that they run nationally that members of Congress in their congressional districts. So instead of spending that money to make a new static design, I would suggest that we do something that would be changing and have more of a dynamic design, i.e. something like what they do in the Cannon Tunnel. It's been very successful. It's been going since 1982. It draws in visitors, it draws in students, it connects the communities, and it's been a very, very successful model, and I just would like to put that out there, and it wouldn't cost this kind of money. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's a great suggestion for a deeper conversation at another time. And also, there's also the possibility of doing that as well as what we're already doing with the Heritage Museum. Okay, Member Ozak.
There is no reason why it's a redesign, so we don't have any plan for what's going to happen there. But to be honest, we do have the public coming through this building, and it's kind of embarrassing to have a situation where this has not been changed up in 30-odd years, 35 years. And it's definitely, we have people coming in all the time, in and out, so it could be used as an educational situation, et cetera. But this redesign is exactly that, and it gets things started. But this is getting to be an old building, and I think that public outreach, et cetera, could be really facilitated through this. But we don't have to make a plan for what it is, but I think we should keep this $150,000.
This design will take probably the better part of a year, so
And
everybody realizes.
it's a really minimal amount to make a major change in the building that I think really is long past its time. Thank you.
Well, I think that the Heritage Foundation appreciates that the money is there because they're trying to get the museum pulled together. And our history is important. It has not been changed in a long time, so I don't think it's a one or the other. I think we can have a great conversation about possibly bringing art into the building. Member Garcia.
And that's exactly kind of what I was going to say, is that I know that there's already been a committee, I believe we're talking about putting a committee together. I know that Member DeSarge, along with some other people, have been working on this for quite a while, years at this point, I think. And we've had discussions in Public Works Committee, and I really think this is something that we need to keep in here, and I most definitely think art can be a part of this, but I think that what we've got now in the Heritage Gallery is not inclusive of the history of DuPage County. I think that we need to change that so that we are inclusive of everyone who has been a part of a history of this great county. So I think that this is something that should be done, just like you said, because I believe that it's going to take over a year, because it's been years of just discussion before this. So we need to get going on this before it lose momentum again, because it's been going on for quite a while.
Okay, Member Galassi.
I appreciate the discussion, but I do agree with Member LaPlante that, especially if it's a year out before we know what the plan is, this is an example of something that I think we should keep in reserves and then pull out once the plan is available, and then we can vote on it at that point.
Just so you know, I need the money in order to come up with a plan.
Right.
So this is just design. This is design only, so I can't move the project forward without the money for design.
Right.
And we would be teaming with the DuPage Historical Museum, and they would be leading the team up on this. The thought process is they're redesigning some of their exhibits over there, and so we would probably grab one consultant to maybe do both of them simultaneously, and to gather public and community input and support for it as we do it. I am by no means an expert in anything. I mean, if it's a straight line, I can build it. For engineering, I am, but when it comes to this, I don't know it. So we need an expert in order to go to the next level.
And sharing a consultant will save us money. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think since Member DeSart had to leave, I think that, this was her initiative. I don't think it would be a good idea to pull something without her being here. So, if we want to just leave this for discussion for a future date, I think that might be the appropriate way to go, unless we can get consensus. But I just don't think it's, it's a member initiative, and I think that if the member's not here, they had to leave, I don't think it's appropriate.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people really working on this. Member Childress was very involved, the League of Women Voters. It's been a large project with a lot of people working on it. I don't think it's a tremendous amount of money, and in order to move forward with a consultant, I think that we need to do this, so.
Okay, as long as we can have a discussion about what's coming forward. Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
As an artist by trade, I fully support the potential of doing that.
Okay, so can we get, as we're talking about this, can we get consensus on the Heritage Gallery then? Okay.
Okay.
Think we have it? We have it?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm gonna scratch that one off. Okay, so, but I think, did we want to go up to the safe harbor?
How about the small nonprofits?
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do the small nonprofits. Can we get consensus on the small nonprofits?
Yep, great.
Great. Okay, those off so I don't lose my spot.
And Safe Harbor, before you guys, Safe Harbor, and I know Jason has been working with them a lot. Our thought process is, yes, you can go ahead and reserve the money, but we are going to negotiate, and it may be considerably less than this. And if it is, so be it. You'll see the agreement that comes forward, but at least we have it. And like I said, it's interest allocation. It's going to be whatever we don't use will be here in the future. So give us authority, and then we'll start negotiating.
So do we have consensus on the safe harbor for the 3? Okay. Okay. Okay, great. All right, safe harbors crossed off. All right, now we need to do the additional food insecurity for $1,145,379. Have that, okay.
Okay, yeah,
We got
consensus.
Okay. And then, what am I missing?
That's everything.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Member Chaplin. Thank you, everybody, for the great conversation. Okay, anybody in new business? Okay, Member Kajewski.
Real quick, I think it's important, because we're talking about history, for the GO bonds here, that we have 86 million. Can you tell us the surrounding counties like Will County and Lake County? Because I think that gives some perspective to how DuPage has been operating. So we have those 3 GO bonds for 86 million.
Yeah.
And I know Will is $500 million.
So we are very low in our debt. We are financially very, very solid. I don't want to necessarily, but yes, we are
You can tell
very
us how much
low.
the GO bonds are in the other counties, and you can tell us Will
I
County
do believe that there's $500 million, and so, I mean, 150 million, 200 million, and some of this debt isn't even our own. Some of it, we simply are a conduit for DuCom to do it. They're responsible, and so financially.
Just to put in perspective, our surrounding counties have been spending a lot of money over the years by borrowing it.
They have been.
Huge liability
I will
on
tell
their
you,
books.
we have been doing pay-as-you-go on projects, and financially, like I said this morning, we have one major project that, like, here on the campus still left, and that's the parking decks. We're in very, very good shape from, what the future liabilities hold.
I think that's just important for the board to know that in DuPage here, we have very little GO bonds on the books, where our surrounding counties have a lot more, like extremely lot more.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Galassi, Member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention, as we just all observed Veterans Day, that I really appreciated the presentation that the Sheriff's Office put on last week. It was a beautiful presentation and very well received by all the veterans in attendance. And so I do know that they're very understaffed, and so the fact that they were able to put that amazing program on for our very valued veterans, I really appreciate it, particularly with all the unrest going on in the rest of the world. It's just really important to say how much we appreciate our armed services. Thank you.
Okay, Member Eckhoff, then Member Rutledge.
I didn't have a chance during old business to talk about the affordable housing. And I was a little concerned about the fact that we're talking about enhancing infrastructure for housing. If you're fixing something that already exists, then you're just repairing an item. But if you're enhancing it, you're basically giving money to the homeowner, because you drop in sewer and water, that's going to increase the value of that property. And when the property owner sells, he or she's going to reap that reward, and it's going to turn your affordable housing into regular housing. Yes, it is.
I think, Member Eckhoff, I would invite you to the next affordable housing
I try to watch on
meeting.
YouTube. Every time they don't want it in because it's going to cost them $30,000.
You have a personal invitation to the next affordable housing meeting. Okay, Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. And thank you, Member Galassi, for pointing out the support we give our veterans on Veterans Day. But I do want to comment that our recorder carrier did open her office last Thursday for some of those veterans to come in and record, thank you, as part of a service to our veterans. So I want to thank her as well.
Okay, Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I just wanted to invite you and this board to our senior food distribution event that's Saturday, the 18th at 10 a.m. out in the parking lot. As you know, we approved $240,000 last year to continue this program, and it's the big Thanksgiving distribution this Saturday, 10 a.m., and we can use all the help, and it's quite a bit of fun as well. So 10 a.m. out in the parking lot.
Okay, I look forward to it. Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And also I wanted to recognize all of the county board members that showed up at Loaves and Fishes. We put together bags for Thanksgiving, and it was just a joy to be working with all of you and getting so much done. I think we got over 100 bags in our section done.
100 pounds.
100 pounds, yes. Thank you. So it was really, really a good event. And then also I attended the DuPage Foundation Gala. They fundraised a lot of money, which is phenomenal because they do distribute out to those in need and organizations that are our safety nets in our community. So just wanted to do a shout out to them.
Wonderful. Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting of September session to Tuesday, November 28th, 2023 at 10 a.m. for the passage of the property tax levy pursuant to. All in favor? Okay, this meeting of September session is adjourned until Tuesday.